Hey, AJ.
Hello.
We'll just give it a couple of minutes and then we'll start.
Sounds good.
Hey, Brianna.
Hello, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Let me see, who else are we missing? Just Nicolette. We'll probably give her like a minute or two, and if not, well, we'll start. Okay, let me just share screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Thanks. I guess we'll give her one more minute or two.
Yeah, I think people are having trouble finding like the links because you know how
Okay.
normally it used to be like just with one or two of the Zoom rooms, and
Yeah.
then it was on the sign up sheet. But I think people are having to go into like that other sheet and go into the personal links for the workshops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone has like a unique link now,
Yeah.
which is a little weird, but I guess it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I think it allows for the recording because I know for last semester I wasn't able to record because I was in that second Zoom room. So I think this is allowing us to record.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense then.
How's you guys' semester going so far? Well, the first day.
It's going all right. I just got a hold of all my classes on Canvas. So I have 50-50 in person and then virtual. So, and those virtual are sort of asynchronous with like an optional Zoom meet. So it's all right. I'm a little like overwhelmed, but it's okay. I mean, it's first week. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Okay. What about you, AJ? Okay, I guess we'll start now. Can you guys hear me good? Okay,
Yes.
good. So let me just present this. So we're going to be working with difficult scenarios. Sometimes during tutoring, I don't know if you guys come across it yet, but there's some tutoring sessions that may go kind of bad, or you have not like had that experience yet. So we're just going to go through that. So just to start, like, what are some difficult scenarios that you've encountered? Maybe like a student has been rude, or a student is very shy or doesn't want to like participate with you. I'm just gonna write your responses here. And if anyone wants to volunteer, you're welcome to.
I think the biggest that I've gotten are the ones that don't want to really cooperate or take either notes or implement like the recommendations we're giving. So it's kind of, and I've noticed those are the ones where they need the tutor slip. So yeah, that's the tough part for me because it's like, why are we here? Why are we doing this if you're not taking any notes for it? So that's the toughy one for me.
Exactly. AJ, have you experienced any difficult scenarios?
Yeah, kind of something similar where they just weren't really ever responding positively to like the suggestions I was making. They kind of
not
like
taking feedback.
Yeah. And I've had a couple where the tutee is just like super quiet and doesn't really like say anything at all. Remember what I do to like encourage them to like, talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I've also had some difficult scenarios. Kind of like you guys, like they didn't want to take the feedback, I guess, because like it was also their capstone paper, so it was like their baby. But there's like when I tried to give suggestions, they were like just cutting me off, saying like, no, it's fine. So I've had some difficult scenarios too as well. And then to the next one, how did you handle those situations? So Brianna, you mentioned like they didn't want to take, like they were uncooperative. Like what would you do to have them like interact with you?
I think for me in those scenarios, I kind of shift the conversation to where I ask them like, okay, is there a specific paragraph you want to look at? Is there kind of like keeping it on them at that point? But then also just like going through it if they just want to keep at it. But yeah, I try to put it on them at that point and just be like, oh, do you want to look at something else? Is there a specific spot you want to edit? And sort of try to call them out or like nudge, like, okay, you're not taking notes. Is there something else you want to work on? And it's tough because it's like, you don't want to, it sounds rude, but you're also taking time out of your schedule to help them when they're just there to like get by sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of what I've tried to do. It sort of works, sort of doesn't. You see them typing a little bit, but nothing major. So
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for sharing. What about you, AJ? How did you handle your situation? I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'd say for the shy tutees that I've had, I really would just try to like, I don't know, sometimes just like use humor to try to like make them feel more like comfortable in a conversation. Because I know, you know, sometimes talking to people that they don't know sometimes makes people anxious. So just trying to get them feeling comfortable can help them a lot, I'd say.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I do that too sometimes. I don't use humor, but like I try to have a comfortable conversation, kind of make them feel like it's a conversation between me and you. Like I do not have more power than you, so just kind of communicate. But yeah, great ways to try to handle those situations. So now let me go back to presenting. So now we're going to be going through some difficult tutoring scenarios that I've come across or that like other tutors have also come across. And the first one would be a stressed tutee. I don't know if you guys had a stressed tutee before, but usually they're like very, like they show that they're just like, they'll tell you like, oh, like I have so much to do, or sometimes they'll even be like mean towards you. So just some ways to navigate that is take a minute or two to pull themselves together. Like you could tell them, do you need some time to like get yourself together? Just like a minute or two, because you, of course, you don't want them to like take over the whole session of just doing that, because then, well, it's not really a tutoring session then. You could allow them to have like a short vent, like letting them tell you what's stressing them out. Maybe it's like the papers, so then you kind of get an idea like what they need to work on. And then always reassurance, like tell them it's okay, like that's why you're here, so we could get through this together. Like if you have any questions, I'm here for you. And then most importantly, creating a list, kind of like a prioritizing a list for them. Like, okay, if you want to work on your introduction, let's do that first. That way it doesn't seem so overwhelming for them. Do you guys have any other ways that you would navigate the situation, or is that basically it?
yeah, I like that short list part. That's helpful, I think. Kind of, it's almost like a little mini agenda.
Yeah.
And it kind of keeps everything on track, especially I know for me, like the last 5 minutes, I'm always like, oh man, we need to do this, this, and that really quick. And then it leads into my next appointment time. So I like the list part.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, totally try it out if you have a stress tutee. Okay. And then another scenario can be a rude tutee. I personally have never been attacked or anything, or like they've never talked to me wrong, but it can happen. So if it does happen to you, or if it did happen, here are some ways to navigate that. Of course, do not take it personally. It's not your fault that they're being rude or that they're stressed or anything like that. So don't take it personally, whatever they tell you. Of course, model desired behavior, however you want to be treated. Try to model that, like maybe they'll get the hint, like, okay, like I'm not being rude to you, so please don't be rude to me. If it does go out of hand, of course, you could bring it up saying like, oh, like, please, like, don't talk to me like that. If it really does get out of hand or you just don't want to handle that situation, you can always seek assistance from Sophie, Abby, or Shay. They're always there for us. Like they're always telling us like if you ever encounter this, just call us right in. And I recommend you doing that, like so that you won't get in trouble either. Like if like you're totally annoyed of them and you just blow off, like you don't want that to happen. So just seek assistance from them. And then another scenario is a passive tutee. In this situation, usually like the tutee is like not into the conversation of the tutoring session, or like Brianna had mentioned, they just want like the tutor slip. So in this situation, ask open-ended questions. Like some of you mentioned, you have conversations with them or you use humor. These kind of questions won't have them be saying like, yes, no, or I don't know. It kind of makes them think a little bit. And then ask if they would like to read the paper out loud. If it's like a 1 to 2 page paper, ask them, oh, like, do you want to read your paper out loud or should I? Kind of giving them the choice. And then of course, point out their successes. I think in this way, like it makes them feel better about themselves and maybe they'll try to participate. And then of course, be clear about your role. Like if they just come in saying, oh, I just need the slip for proof, or if they come in just asking you like, can you just edit it and that's it? Let them know that you cannot do that. This is like a conversation you two have. Both of you kind of go through it together. So like, yeah, just make sure to point that out. And then lastly, we have a shy tutee. I feel like usually freshmen are more shy because they don't know what we have to offer. So in this case, kind of build rapport, let them know what your role is here at the WMC. And again, ask open-ended questions. That way it's not a short conversation. And create a list. Let them know like what we're going to be going through so that they have kind of a roadmap of what this tutoring session is going to be about. And then give examples to questions, kind of like if I'm telling you, like what would you do, how would you write your intro? Kind of give them like a sentence starter, like a topic sentence of what it could be. That way you give them like a roadmap of what, like an example of what to do. You guys have any other questions so far or any comments you want to make? Okay, great. So now we're going to do like some practicing, like kind of role play of tutoring sessions. So scenario 1, does anyone want to read it out loud? Be like the tutee.
I can do it. All right. So I just met with my professor and she gave me so much feedback. I don't know where to begin. I've been working on this for 2 days. Also, I've been doing the wrong citations. It's supposed to be APA and I'm doing MLA. I've never worked with APA. She told me I have to add more info in some sections, but I'm already at the page limit.
Okay, great. So what kind of like scenario would that be?
That sounds like a stressed tutee to me.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going for. So in this case, what would you two, how would you handle this?
Well, I definitely try to, it seems like they kind of have that, you know, big block of just like things that they have to go through. It kind of sounds very overwhelming. So I try to kind of like break it up into like one thing at a time, you know, make a list of what should go through, you know, instead of just like having all these problems in one big chunk, just try to focus on maybe either the APA format or, you know, removing some info so that we can have more
Yeah, great.
info
Like,
related to the topic, you know?
yeah, like prioritizing what needs to get done.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Okay. Brianna, did you have any suggestions, or is that good?
Yeah, very similar to what AJ
Okay.
was sharing.
Yeah, definitely. So in this case, making a list is great, kind of letting them know, like, okay, well, let's break it down. You can also kind of give them reassurance, letting them know that you're here to help them. You could also do that. Great. That was good. Let's do the next scenario. Scenario 2. Any volunteers? Brianna, do you want to?
I can read that one. Yeah.
Okay.
My professor said it was extra credit if we came in and got proof that we attended. My paper is basically done. I just need someone to go over it and correct my grammar. My friend already read it too. Just mark any mistakes you see. Oh, this is what I go through so often. So this is similar to kind of the one that's trying to just get a quick edit done and get by and just get their tutor slip and be good.
Yeah.
So I think similar to the options you were giving earlier, I think creating a list and then explaining to them like, we have similar powers. I have no authority over your paper. I can't just mark your mistakes and be done. So I think at this point, just being straight up and clear what your role is as a writing tutor at the center. Because sometimes they don't know, you know, it's not always intentional. I notice like sometimes it's their first time here and they just think they can drop it off. And I think we get annoyed with it because we hear it so many times.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think I would start with letting them know what the role is here and what our job is. And then if they want to continue with the session, creating that list, since their friend already read it and they already want to work on their grammar, kind of going and focusing through that way would be my
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah, great. That's a really good way to navigate that. Did you have any suggestions, AJ, or did like what you said was
This,
fine?
yeah, about the same, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What you could also do is just let them know that you kind of have to have them like do the work, because at the end of the tutor slip, you have to like write down, okay, what did we work on and what are your next moves? So just remind them about that as well. And then for scenario 3, I'll go ahead and read it. I don't understand what you want me to explain. It's all right there in my paper. What major are you in? Have you worked on an anthropology paper before? So like what kind of tutor would that be?
Go ahead and say rude.
Yeah, definitely. Any ideas like how you would want to navigate the situation?
I'd probably just kind of, you know, the kill 'em with kindness thing, the like be super respectful and like, oh, I'm a English major and you know, it's all just writing, you know, or what major you are in. Just, you know,
Yeah, good.
just
Yeah.
try to, you know, not give in to that. I think a lot of people want to react rudely when someone's rude to them first, but try to do the opposite of what
Yeah,
they're
definitely.
doing and be kind
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah,
Good
and then I
solution.
would even let them know if we have a tutor who is proficient or is majoring in anthropology,
Mhm.
because that's another thing I've come across is that oftentimes students don't know that they can have a preference when
Yeah.
they're making an appointment. And so just being like, hey, would you like me to see if we have a tutor that knows about this anthropology class or this paper or is majoring in it, and you can rather schedule with them, because sometimes they need it very direct. I've come across that sometimes, but that's it.
Yeah, great solutions. Thank you for sharing. You could also just let them know that we've all been like tutored the same for like all majors, if like they still keep insisting. But like, yeah, great idea, Brianna, that like letting them know we have other tutors with different majors. And if we have an anthropology major or any major they're looking for, you could suggest them. Great, thanks guys. And then just to end, I just want to know if you have any questions so far or any clarifications. And if not, I'd like to know your opinions, like what were your takeaways from this PowerPoint?
I enjoyed it. It was a good refresher. I think these things came up more during COVID than ever. I think because it was the only option. So you
Mhm.
saw it more, and with the tech differences,
Yes.
like sharing screens and the Google links and working off Google Docs or Microsoft Word. So I think all those things played into it and it heightened everything. But overall, I think you gave great examples and theories and ways to either prevent it or work through it. So you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think all of the situations that you went over are really common. I haven't worked here very long, and I feel like I've seen just about all of them for the most part, to some extent. Maybe not quite as rude of a 2T as you described, but
Yeah.
definitely situations where people are only in there to, you know, get that form filled out or whatever. So it's definitely good to know what to do in those kinds of situations. Very beneficial.
Okay. I'm glad it helped. And then, are there any, is there anything you will implement in your tutoring sessions that I suggested for like future?
Probably the making a list thing that you suggested, that
Mhm.
seemed to be one of the things I'll definitely implement the most.
Yeah, it really does come in handy, and it makes it easier for you because you kind of have a roadmap of like what to go through.
Exactly.
And then lastly, are there any other difficult scenarios or just other scenarios of tutoring like you would like to discuss or maybe bring up like in the next workshop? If not, it's okay.
Covered them. Yeah, like the three ones you shared are kind of the most common that I've come across. And like the wording is very on point. So
Great, thanks. And then lastly, it's just a quick debrief of what we went through. Of course, ask for assistance from other tutors if you need some assistance, like if they're being rude or you just don't know how to navigate the situation, or ask pro staff members to step in if needed. Of course, take a moment for yourself if it is too hectic. Not only do you want to worry about the 2T if they're stressed and they need a moment, but also you. If it's like, if you seem overwhelmed, just be like, okay, can I like just take a quick minute, either in person or online, just let the 2T know, and then let Sophie or Abby or Shay know that like, oh, I just need a moment to myself really quick. Of course, stay calm and respectful. We don't want to get fired or anything or get in trouble. So again, ask pro staff members to step in if needed, and then ask open-ended questions to have a conversation with them, make that a one-on-one, not just like you by yourself, and create a checklist to make sure that you went through everything. And that's the end of this workshop. Yeah, so thank you for attending, and yeah, have a great day for the other training workshops.
Thanks so much, Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
have a good one.
Yeah, thank you, you guys too. Bye.